Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Well, this week I'm looking at some emails that have been sent to me with suggested video thoughts, and I got a really interesting one from my buddy Doug over in Florida. Doug emailed me an article that was published, I think, in the American Bar Association's journal. But it was an article about how studying the Stoics, which was a Greek philosophy, predominant back about, I think Zeno started it in the 300 BC era. And Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, is a famous Stoic. And he was from the 2nd century of this era. And the article said, how can the Stoics help us as lawyers, trial lawyers, but anybody, find happiness in this life? And the suggestion was that the Stoics have something to say to us, especially with this vexing question. Let me read it. How do we enjoy meaningful, fulfilled, and contented lives in a context, speaking here about the legal profession, but this is a context for most everybody in life, in a context that includes conflict and pressure and grueling effort? Well, that's an interesting question. How do we enjoy meaningful, fulfilled, and contented lives? And this author was suggesting that we could find some answers to that, perhaps, from the Stoic philosophers. Now, Stoics were famous for a number of things, but especially the idea that life is just life and we should try to find pleasure in it as much as we can, but they were very logical. They were very rational about it. Even misery might be a cause of pleasure if you realize you can have victory over the misery. You take this rational approach that should help you with life. The Stoics generally believed in God, but almost as a world soul, not a God of any particular interest. And so their approach to life was an approach of one of, it is what it is. Basically, get on with it and accept it and will yourself, think yourself to find some peace of mind in the midst of it. Engage in the battle, engage in the struggle, and know that it's going to be hard, and know that there are times of misery, and you just get through life. Now, how does that comport with the view of the Jewish Christian scriptures? Well, there are some things that holds in common, but there is a sharp and very important divergence. Let me tell you about Paul. Now, we had at church Sunday this wonderful sermon from Dr. Robert Smith out of Birmingham, Alabama. And he preached on Acts chapter 17, where Paul is in Athens. Athens is the birthplace of Stoicism. That's where Zeno was from. By the way, Zeno, famous for the one-liner, you only have 2 ears. I mean, you have 2 ears, but only one mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. Gives you a flavor for the start of Stoicism anyway. But Paul was there, and Paul was speaking to Stoics and Epicureans. And he started his defense on the Agora by appealing to them in a way that they already agreed with, or at least it wasn't a far stretch. He started out by saying that the God who made the world and everything in it, being the Lord of heaven and earth, and Stoics believe that God formed out of the 4 elements of the world, doesn't live in temples made by man. That was also not foreign to Greek thought. They thought anybody who created the world certainly didn't need a temple made by human. Nor is he served by humans' hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to mankind life and breath and everything. So Paul started out in a way that the Stoics would understand. But then Paul made a sharp divergence. Paul said in verses 25 and 26 that God made of one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and boundaries of their dwelling places, and here's the key, in order that people should seek God in the hope that they might find their way toward him and find him. See, the sharp divergence with the Stoics is that Judeo-Christianity teaches that God made humans to seek him out. And if you want a meaningful, fulfilled, and contented life in a context or world that includes so much conflict, pleasure, and grueling effort, the answer is not to turn off your passion. The answer is to turn on your searchlight. Go search for God. You find God, and you will find contentment, you will find fulfillment, and you will find meaning in life. That's what the Stoics had to learn, and that's your video thought for the day.